Warning. The Intercontinental Committee on Podcasting warns that listening to the Get the Fluff Out podcast may induce euphoric feelings of nostalgia, which may lead to complete and total ratitude.
The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Fluff, get the fluff out.
Welcome to Get the Fluff Out. I'm Hollywood, along with your co-host, Dirty Jim. And thanks for joining us on our rockin' journey through the decades in our quest for the musical Holy Grail, creating the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist. On each episode, we'll choose which songs from an album review that will make the cut to appear on the playlist. It's time to experience the soundtrack of our lives. 34. Dirty Jim! How you doing?
I don't know what you were just saying. What were you saying?
I was saying 34 to represent the number of countries that we have grown to in such a short amount of time on the Get the Fluff Out podcast.
I'm like, what does 34 have to do with anything we're doing? I'm trying to look at my notes. And I'm like, I don't know. Am I lost here? But no, I get it. 34 countries. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so we've released episodes over the course of really only 2 months. So we started releasing episodes April, May, and 3 months, and June.
Right.
So in those 3 months, we've grown to 34 countries around this planet.
That's nice. 34. That's
yeah.
Is that bigger than we had with Lipstick and Leather? Is that more?
No, Lipstick and Leather had a little bit more. I mean, keep in mind, with Lipstick and Leather, we were doing episodes for almost 2 years. It was like a year and 8 months, 9 months, something like that. So we were actually growing and growing over that time. So, but we're close to where we were with Lipstick and Leather. We ended up with 55 countries.
Nice. What can I do to get the rest of them back? People. Well, who am I going to talk to? I can't talk to them. They're not listening. You know, if I make an announcement now and say, people, what can I do to get you back? Well, they're not going to hear it. And if they do, well, then they are back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but still, I look at the list and I think, wow, there's actually people in Pakistan listening to us, or Egypt. I'm looking at Hungary, India, Myanmar, just all over, Singapore, Ukraine, Uruguay, Turkey.
What up, Myanmar?
The Netherlands. I almost said the Leatherlands.
That's where Leatherwolf is. That's where Leatherwolf is from.
From the Leatherlands. But yeah, all you guys out there in all these different countries around the world, thank you so much for giving us a chance on the Get the Fluff Out podcast. Maybe you guys were originally listening to Lipstick and Leather, and now you've transitioned over to the Get the Fluff Out podcast. Thank you again. We ask that you just continue to share our podcast link with friends and family around the world, other people who are into classic rock or heavy metal, or just people who are part of our generation, Gen X. I mean, there's so much great music that we're going to continue to be reviewing from the 1960s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s, and beyond, that we want you guys to just be a part of what we're doing. And so, again, thank you very much.
Yeah, and feel free to praise us or criticize us on our social media pages, like Metal Mike Heston has done recently with the Alice in Chains episode, where I said two things wrong. I did say two things wrong, and I apologize to Alice in Chains and everyone else who's a huge Alice in Chains fan, including Metal Mike. I put him back at Metal Mike and not just Mike.
I was just going to say, I think we took away the metal moniker from him and just gave him, quote unquote, just Mike, but you're giving it back to him?
I'm giving it back because I feel that he deserves it, because he listened to the episode and actually did catch mistakes. And I appreciate that, because I strive for perfection. And usually, as everyone in my life knows, I usually reach that high expectation of myself.
Dude, that's so funny. All right, Mike, thank you so much for listening. Of course, man, we got to get together. Man, it'd be awesome if we could do a trip out to the Carolinas.
You know what? I think I've seen enough, Mike Heston. You know, I think I've seen enough. But you know, I do have one more. Sorry, Mike, but I do have one more thing to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Before we get into this album. So when I'm listening to this podcast, you know, besides cringing when I play back an episode, hearing myself say something stupid, thank you, Mike, or stammer over words, the thing that makes me cringe most is when we announce a song and that 30-second clip comes up and it's a horrible 30-second clip.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. I don't know, and I know we've said this before on the podcast. Someday Spotify is going to allow us to pick our own 30-second clips, and maybe you'll have to go back and do a whole bunch of work. Maybe it'll take you a month. I don't know how long it's going to take you, but we have to change these 30-second intros because sometimes they pick the worst parts of the song.
Yeah, you would think that the 30-second clip should include at least a portion of the pre-chorus and the chorus, something that has a hook.
Yes.
And a lot of times that the algorithm that Spotify chooses for the 30-second clips, it lands on a bridge or right in the guitar solo, and all you're hearing is music. Now, obviously, I love just music, but I want to hear the hook. I want people out there, when we're talking, reviewing the songs, to hear the hook, hear the chorus, hear that pre-chorus, hear some singing that, you know, because we comment a lot on the vocals of a lot of these bands. But, man, I just wish I could actually choose the 30 seconds myself. It would seem easy. Just go ahead and allow those who are doing the editing behind the scenes, let us go ahead, have that track, give us just a very simple editor in your platform on Spotify or Anchor, you know, wherever you want to put it, and let us clip. Okay, that's the 30 seconds I want. Done. It would be simple, easy, but until then, guys, we don't choose the 30-second clips that you're hearing. But if you do pay for the Spotify Premium, you can actually hear the whole song. You could actually hear half the song. You could just skip the song if you want and just listen to us banter back and forth. But for right now, we have to live with the 30-second clips that are chosen by Spotify.
It's still better than no clip at all.
Yeah. You're getting a little bit of music to kind of get the feel or the sense of what we're talking about.
You know what I do notice is when we do the no clip at all, like if you're listening on other avenues besides Spotify, you'll hear me introduce a song, and if I'm the first person up to talk about that song, I'll say, let's use DIO. Well, here, I'm giving away what we're doing in this episode. But let's say track number 1, Night People. And then you hear no music, and all of a sudden I come in and say, so, Night People. So it's like I said it twice in a row. But if you go to Spotify, it makes more sense. Me introducing the track, hearing the 30-second clip, even if it is crap, and then jumping down into the review.
Right. So, with that being said,
yeah. Hey, what are we doing in episode 18?
Today, we're going to be reviewing the 1987 album Dream Evil by DIO. Now, DIO, as a band, they originated in Cortland, New York back in 1982. And this album, Dream Evil, was released July 21st, 1987. It is the 4th album in their catalog. And here we go with the band members. The legendary Ronnie James Dio on vocals. Obviously, for those who are huge fans of Dio, we know that he passed away back in 2010, stomach cancer. He was only 67 years old at the time. But what a tremendous loss for the world of hard rock, classic rock, and progressive rock and metal. He spanned, I think it was like 5 different decades of music. Crazy, just an amazing, amazing voice.
Great catalog.
And on the drums we have Vinny Appice, Vinny, and on the bass Jimmy Bain, who also passed away sadly in 2016. Then on guitar we have the new guy, Craig Goldy, on rhythm and lead guitar, and then on keyboards we have Claude Schnell. So with that, Dirty Jim, why don't we get into some album notes?
All right, I got a few album notes here. This was the last Dio album to chart in the U.S., and it hit number 33. In Sweden, this album hit number 4, Norway number 7, in the UK number 8, Germany number 12, Switzerland number 13, and Austria number 15. This was the last album with Vinny Appice until the 1993 album Strange Highways, and also the last album with Jimmy Bain until Magica in 2000. And, sadly, this was the last album to have Murray on the cover of the album. And Murray is the demonic-looking figure that was on 3 out of the first 4 albums. It was not on Sacred Heart. So this was the last... Go ahead.
Yeah, just when you say Murray is, a demonic-looking figure, I think Murray is only demonic-looking to people with preconceived judgments of what a demonic creature looks like in their mind.
Well, you look at Murray, he's a demonic creature.
No. I mean, even Ronnie James Dio himself, he pointed out before that one should not be too quick to judge. And he said it's likely that Murray is, looking at the album Dream Evil, he says Murray is keeping watch over the child, ready to protect her from all the creatures on and around her bed. So when we think of like most common depictions of the devil, they're really conceived by medieval artists and who were influenced by folklore and myths and stuff like that. So I mean, even if you were to go to the Bible, 2 Corinthians 11:14, it says that Satan keeps disguising himself as an angel of light. So in reality, we actually need to watch out for the beautiful, angelic-looking people. Oh my God, Dirty Jim!
Well,
you must be Satan the devil.
Well, I don't think I'm the devil, but I'm definitely not innocent. But you could say whatever you want. But Murray to me is like a space alien demon.
Okay, well, if you guys want to know the actual story behind Murray, the whole origin story of Murray, he actually came from a race of benevolent creatures called the Malacovians. And the whole story was printed on the inside of the Dream Evil 1987 tour program. And you guys can actually read the whole story that Ronnie James Dio wrote about Murray. And you can look it up online. It's on a website called RonnieJamesDioSite.com, and just look for it. It's a very interesting story that Dio laid out regarding the origin and the history of Murray.
I don't think Dio knew the whole story about Murray. I think Murray had a dark side. But we should move on with this and move down to... Are you ready?
I'm ready, dude.
All right, let's move on with track number 1, Night People. All right, Night People. This song pursues you pretty much from the start, kind of like Joe Pace did to my friend Hollywood. After Hollywood, during a lapse of sane judgment, threw a mayonnaise-drenched piece of sandwich at him, hitting Joe with the sloppy slice in the side of the face. And the very short chorus is like the slowdown where they both stop for a few seconds to catch their breath before the pursuit reconvenes. And the song kind of continues like that for the entire 4 minutes. It's onslaught, very short break, onslaught, short break, etc. It's fast, it's heavy, and it's awesome. It is a prime cut for me.
I like that.
Remember
Joe Pace?
Yeah, go hear that story. I don't know what episode it's on. Listen to them all. Go through the entire Lipstick and Leather podcast. Listen from 1 to like 33 or however many episodes it is, and you will hear that story of Hollywood and Joe Pace.
All right, so Night People. So the lead track here, it starts with 6 staccato keyboard strikes before the whole band kicks into the glorious sound of 80s heavy metal. And then the new guitar player, Goldy, he provides just a classic sounding DIO guitar riff. And he's ripping. I mean, totally ripping on a guitar solo. I love it. I mean, what I read in Hit Parader, or it was, I think maybe Circus Magazine, that DIO chose the guitar player from Jafria. Now, Jafria was this keyboard-heavy pop rock band, just completely opposite of DIO. And DIO chose Craig Goldy to replace Vivian Campbell. I was like, what? So I was a little worried as to what, Dream Evil or this new album was going to sound like, but listening to track 1 completely allayed any of my fears. And all I have to say, there are several tracks on this album that would have fit perfectly in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. This song itself, Night People, 100% a prime cut, making the ultimate Gen X Rocket Mixtape playlist. And it's also my...
Wow.
Night people aren't necessarily zombies or vampires. They're just humans who enjoy the solitude of a moonlit night with the occasional wolf howling, gnarly track of the album.
Sounds like just some good time people. All right.
There you go, man. Right from the get-go. Favorite track of the album. But, man, let's go through this review because there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, you are right about the Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't even think of that, but going through the titles here, you are correct. Let's go to track number 2, Dream Evil.
So, Dream Evil. There's an excellent main guitar riff for this mid-tempo title track. And you're going to hear this a lot between Dirty Jim and I. DIO's voice is awesome. He's just amazing. I mean, the way he sings this chorus, to me, you hear him sing, he sings so effortlessly, and he has amazing diction. I mean, I think we were talking about it a little bit on the last episode with Steve Perry. Sometimes he clipped his words or mumbled his words or whatever it was. He didn't really enunciate everything the way DIO does. But he enunciates so well, and he doesn't garble his words or anything where you don't need a lyric sheet to actually figure out what he's saying. So, for example, Vince Neil of Motley Crue. There's a lot of verses and phrases in Motley Crue songs that just leave you saying, huh? What did he say?
Yeah.
What was that?
Shout at the devil. Go listen to it
Oh,
live.
my God. So, Dirty Jim, back in the day when you were a singer.
Singer, yep. That's my my diction. Singer.
Right. Was it frustrating to figure out lyrics to a song?
It was tough because sometimes they didn't have them on the sleeves, and we didn't have the internet to look it up like these spoiled, rotten brats today. But yes, it was tough sometimes, and sometimes I just made them up.
Oh my God! You just kind of mush-mouthed it or mumbled your way when you're on stage singing.
Yeah, I'm like just like I do when I don't know a song. I just pretend like I'm singing something. And I've looked up some of those songs nowadays and realized I've been doing them wrong, and we point that out periodically on this podcast.
Right. So anyway, Dream Evil, it's an absolute prime cut, making the ultimate Gen X rock and mixtape playlist.
All right, so Dream Evil, for me, it has a 34-second building, rocking intro. Got perfect verses, a great pre-chorus, and a solid chorus. It has everything you could possibly desire in a song. But the thing that gets me every time I hear Dream Evil is that the music behind the verses has an uplifting feel. And I kind of discussed this in a few other podcasts, but it has this uplifting feel, although the song is of a darker nature. Right. But that's not a complaint for me. It's just an amusing observation, we'll call it. And it's also a prime cut for me.
All right.
Let's move down to track number 3, Sunset Superman. Okay, so Sunset Superman. The verses in this song are obviously the highlight. But now I'm going to get into a little bit of the mediocre parts of this song. The first 35 seconds of the intro was a lot of nothing. The chorus was pretty basic. And I didn't love the slower emptiness for about a minute between 2 minutes and 45 seconds and 3:45. But the solo during that part was actually really good. And the last minute and 25 seconds was really just chorus and song title repetition. That's a long 85 seconds, but somehow Dio makes it work. I was on the fence with this, but I think there's enough to keep it around. But for me, only as a deep cut.
Okay, so for me, Sunset Superman. So just like you said, that first intro, that first 35, 36 seconds where you kind of hear the swirling wind sound effect and keyboards, it really wasn't necessary, but it just kind of provided the mood. And then Craig Goldy kicks in with another super califantastic metal guitar riff.
There's another
Very
shout
tasty.
out. There's another shout out.
Shout out to Debbie. Yeah. So very tasty riff. He's got some good riffage going on here, and I dig his that middle guitar solo that you were talking about, kind of in that space, because you hear the Vinny Appice. He's playing this drum beat, which kind of sounds like "We Will Rock You."
Right.
It's a very similar kind of calculating drum beat, and it lasts for about 50 seconds. But man, when you hear Craig Goldy, he's playing his guitar solo, he does this thing where he infuses chords, double stops, triads in his solo playing. It's not just single note shredding all the time. He's very calculating in how he plays his guitar solos. I love it. Now we get to the chorus. The chorus, yes, it's basic. It just repeats the title of the song over and over. Can you imagine, like you said, repeating the word Sunset Superman for a whole minute and a half as the song's fading out? Now that challenged my hatred of repetitive songs.
I knew it would, but you are a Dio fan.
So, Dirty Jim, do you think I was on the fence with this song?
I don't think you were on the fence, but I think, like you said, I think that a couple of these things pushed your limits.
Well, I got news for you.
Uh-oh.
I just hated that I loved this song even with all the repetition of Sunset Superman.
I thought, holy crap, are you actually going to do this? Poor
Fluff cut
Murray
it.
would come visit you tonight.
No, Murray! Ah!
No, you know Murray. You think Murray's a good guy. I got to tell you, I think different. But anyway, go ahead.
No. So, yes, he does repeat it over and over at the end, but come on, he's one of the best vocalists in rock history. Somehow, he makes it work. And to me, I really dig the song. I'm not even giving it a deep cut. I'm giving it a low-grade prime cut for Sunset Superman.
Well, then I see a whole lot of prime cuts coming your way. But 'cause I can't. I'm looking down the list. And anyway, let's move to track number 4. All the Fools Sailed Away.
So this song starts off with a guitar technique that I mentioned in the last episode that I'm calling the Evelyn. So anytime I hear an arpeggiated guitar, you're going to hear me just say Evelyn technique.
Every once in a while, remind me what the Evelyn technique is, because I'll be like, wait, is that the arpeggiated? Is that the truncated? Is that the all these other different terms that you use?
Right. So just for people out there, when you hear me saying arpeggiated guitar, it's basically anytime you play the individual notes of a chord one at a time instead of just strumming the actual chord. So that's called arpeggiation. You're just playing one note at a time, and it sounds really cool. Generally, it's used in ballads or slow parts of songs.
Thanks, Dr. Guitar.
So this track starts with a slow Evelyn technique for the first minute, while Dio croons soothing metal poetry. And then Dio sings those first words, "We are the innocent," dun, 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 and the band kicks in on the word innocent. I love it. And I dig the chorus where he sings, and Dirty Jim sailed away.
I gotta go listen to it again.
So, and then it comes to the solo at the 4-minute mark, and Claude Schnell takes the lead solo with some really cool keyboards, and then Craig Goldy follows with a really cool guitar solo. So, for Dio fans out there, this song really is in the style and reminiscent of Egypt, The Chains of Ron, which was on Last in Line, and then Shame on the Night from Holy Diver. This is an epic track. It's 7 minutes and 10 seconds long. But for the MTV video, they had to cut it down to 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Can you imagine? They shaved off over 2.5 minutes. They had to cut out both the keyboard solo, they cut out the guitar solo, and they cut out the whole third verse.
Jeez.
All I have to say is all the fools at MTV cut out crucial and amazing parts of the song. To me, the entire 7 minutes and 10 seconds is a prime cut making the playlist.
I think that's when MTV jumped the shark.
Yeah, they must have. Right there in 1987 with Dio, All the Fools Sailed Away.
All right. So All the Fools Sailed Away for me. Well, not for me, but it is the second single of the album. And now for me. The beginning of this is awesome. And just like you said, it was reminiscent of what songs did you compare it to?
Egypt, The Chains Are On, and Shame on the Night.
Now, for me, it was a little reminiscent of Children of the Sea from Dio's first album with Sabbath.
Oh, okay, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that as well. I was only thinking of his own catalog.
But, I mean, with his soothing, kind of ballad-like shift to metal perfection.
Yeah.
It was... I mean, that's exactly what I thought about. I'm like, oh, what song am I thinking? What song? And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. But when this advances to that heavy, steady, slow tempo, you can feel the power in Dio's voice. It's angry and forceful. The melodic chorus is great. Dio is so good on this one. And he's good on all of them. But on this one, because it's just so... I mean, this is just so passionate, this song. You know, it just sounds like he's singing it with such passion. But like you said, it's a long one at just over 7 minutes, but you won't even notice. And you might as well call it, what did we say, 7 minutes and 10 seconds it was? So you might as well call it 14 minutes and 20 seconds because you will immediately want to hear it again. Not only is this song a grade A plus prime cut for me, it's also my how does such a powerful, glorious voice come out of that 5/4 frame song of the album.
We are the innocent. We are the damned.
Come on, man! You're making a cut at Dio's diminutive nature.
No. I did not call him. We all know Dio was short, and Dio had accepted that he was short. You still haven't, and that's why I have to keep hammering it into you.
I think the worst cut of all was when Ozzy went solo, and then Ozzy's on stage, and you actually hear it on Shout at the Devil. Like right in between a couple songs, Ozzy used to have this little person come out on stage with a goblet of, liquor. Right. And he would give it to him. And you hear Ozzy go, "Oh, everyone say hello to Ronnie."
That's so mean. I love Ozzy, but Ronnie James Dio would blow him away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're talking about pure singing and just stage presence, he was the full package.
Right.
I mean, he really put on an awesome show. All the different Dio concerts that you and I went to, and even later on, years later, he put on a great show. I mean, Ozzy does too, but man, the guy has limitations.
Right.
His recording catalog, with Sabbath and his own, he's got some great stuff. But man, when it comes to vocals, you can't compare. Dio rules.
Ozzy has had limitations since the 70s. So
we still love you, Ozzy.
Oh, I love
we still
Ozzy.
love you.
I love Ozzy. I mean, Anyway, let's not get into Ozzy. This is a Dio wrap-up. Let's move down to track number 5, Naked in the Rain. Okay, so Naked in the Rain for me. Besides the first 10 seconds, this has a great building intro. It's slower and heavy and flows right into the first verse. The entire song proceeds at the relentless, heavy, slow tempo and almost hypnotically pulls you in for the ride. And that is a ride that I love every time. After the first 10 seconds, of course. But it is another prime cut for me.
Yeah, Naked in the Rain for me. Dio, man, he's just a master at creating these mid-tempo rockers. And when it comes to that pre-chorus, I love that pre-chorus. You know, it's so melodic. Are we just running from the pain? Or do we see just what we are? We're naked in the rain.
Sounded just like him.
Absolutely, it did.
Yeah, it did. I can't believe it. It's as
Can't wait to hear it.
I can't. I'm just stammering over here. It's as if I was listening to it live.
Anyway, I got nothing else to say. This is a prime cut, making the ultimate Gen X mixtape playlist.
All right, let's get... Now, that would be 5 straight prime cuts for you. Yes. And I only deep cutted Subset Superman, but that is 5 tracks that are making the playlist. All right, let's move to track number 6, Overlove.
Okay, so Overlove. Craig Goldy here, he starts off the track with this really cool clean tone guitar intro for the first 21 seconds. And then it transitions to this main distorted guitar riff. The song, it hits you fast and hard. It rocks you for about 3 minutes and 49 seconds. Our faithful GTFO listeners will love this track. In fact, they will over-love this track. It's a prime cut, making the playlist.
Look at you using a play on the title. All right, so for me, you could disregard that 25 or you said 21 second, it's something like that, intro. Because,
no, what do you mean disregard?
Wait. Disregard it because it gives you no indication of where this one is heading.
But it's a really cool intro, guys.
It's okay.
Intro is really cool.
It's okay.
No, it's awesome.
I don't know if you know this, but this is my wrap up. You could could critique me at the end, but at 26 seconds, this song slaps you in the face, then kicks you in the ass, and it chases you down the street, taunting you all the way. It's not a Dio classic, but it's still a prime cut for me.
Yeah.
But nice and heavy. But let's move down to something that's not quite as heavy. But track number 7, I Could Have Been a Dreamer. All right, so I Could Have Been a Dreamer. It lands somewhere between slow and lower medium tempo. The verses are angry and gritty. The chorus is great and sounds uplifting. But just like a lot of these songs that if you listen to the lyrics in the song, they're not very inspirational. I said that about, which one was it? Dream Evil, right? Was it Dream Evil?
Right. Yeah.
I think it was. Anyway, but this is another one where the music doesn't really fit the lyrics that are going on over it. But that doesn't make a difference. But Dio never disappoints with these slower, heavy songs. I really love this one, even though there's not that match going on. It is also another prime cut for me.
Okay, so I Could Have Been a Dreamer. Because of the chorus having these safe, dreamy keyboards, this song is the most commercial song of the album.
Definitely.
Which is why it was chosen to be the lead single off the album, first single. So even Dio himself, he was a businessman. He knew that every now and then you have to have a radio hit to pay the bills, to continue to do what he loved. And he was consistent with that, throughout the 80s. Even, he had a couple hits in the 90s. But just because this is the most radio-friendly song on the record, it doesn't mean it's not a good rockin' song. This song, it's not hard and fast or a heavy track, but it's a solid song. I like it, but it's not my favorite. And I kind of struggle with this one a little bit.
Uh-oh.
So I was actually on the fence.
Not fluff cutting it.
That is why I'm sending it off to the Ultimate Gen X mixtape as a deep cut.
Oh, well, thank God I prime cutted it, because if you did send it to the land of fluff, which would have been a sin, by the way, and Murray definitely would come see you tonight.
No, he'd come here to protect me from you, because you'd be coming after me.
That's a long way to go just to hold a song against you. But hey, if Mike Heston could confront me on Facebook about some words that I said wrong, well, then I could make a trip out to California to confront you about track number 7.
Right. But no, it's a deep cut. I like the track, but it's not my favorite, so that's why I put it there. But it's still making the playlist.
And you know that because it was a little fluffy and showy, I'm going to love it.
Of course, and I knew that right away.
All right, let's move to track number 8, Faces in the Window.
So Faces in the Window. So when it comes to Dio albums from the 80s, man, I have a difficult time judging these tracks, because Dio's able to use all the guys in his band to create a song that's just a typical Dio song. He have different, musicians, but it still sounds like Dio. And for the most part, all the songs are solid, primarily because Dio is one of the greatest vocalists in the history of rock. All I know is if I saw a face staring at me in the window at my house, I'd run screaming through the back door, and you'd see one of those cartoon outlines of my body in the door. So that's my reaction. I like this track. It's not the best. To me, it's a solid deep cut.
I also would probably crap my pants if I looked out the window and saw a face looking back in at me.
Oh, dude, what if you saw a little kid's face staring back at you going, "Mommy"?
That freaks me out. Like little kids singing in horror movies and stuff like that, or just little kids with the white faces that are just in the dark. That freaks me out in horror movies. If I saw a little kid standing out of my window, he's probably going to catch the same thing that the adult would have caught, because I do have a couple things in here that do go bang bang. So, but at first, I am going to probably crap my pants, and after all is said and done, I will have to do a little quick change. All right, so Faces in the Window for me. At 2 minutes and 26 seconds, you will have 30 seconds to catch your breath. The rest of it will have you rocking, and rock you shall. Or you know what, actually, do whatever you want to do. You don't have to rock. It's really none of my business what you do when you listen. Either way, Faces in the Window is making the playlist, and it is my 7th prime cut.
Nice.
Let's move on to the last track. Wow, this seems fast, but it really isn't when I look at the time of the podcast. But this is track number 9, When a Woman Cries. Now, Hollywood, do you remember when you used this song on our not Get the Fluff Out, our Lipstick and Leather podcast?
Yeah, yes, I do. Of course.
One of your songs as a Awesome 5.
Yes.
And you had some great sound effects with that one.
Yes.
But anyway, when a woman cries, this almost sounds like it could have fit on an album back when Dio was in Rainbow. It's got a different sound than anything on this album, but at different times you can hear both bands peeking through. Not that there aren't any other hints of Rainbow in other songs on this album, including that introduction that I was not poo-pooing, but I think you thought that I was poo-pooing from Overlove. But that kind of sounded a little rainbowy. But, I hear it more. I hear more Rainbow in this song than any one of the other ones on the album. It's got a groovy, rocking rhythm to it. I love it, and I know that others will too. And it is my 8th prime cut out of 9 songs.
Wow. There you go. Okay. So for me, the final track, When a Woman Cries. Now, I love the drum intro by Vinny Appice. Just a really cool intro to the song, and then Craig Goldy again comes up with a really cool guitar riff that's worthy of the Dio catalog. And then in the second verse, you hear Claude Schnell play this interesting keyboard riff that repeats under the verse, which I totally dig. But every time I hear the song now, I'm referencing what Dirty Jim just said. The very first podcast episode that we ever did. Back on Lipstick and Leather, episode 1. We throughout the whole tenure of Lipstick and Leather, I mean, we had different quote unquote comedy segments, and I use the term comedy very loosely.
Well, comedy is all in the ears of the beholder.
This is true. Thank you. And one of the segments was called The Awesome Five, as Dirty Jim said. So the theme for that segment was the awesome 5 songs to hear while getting your ass kicked. And during my story, I was getting pummeled, just back and forth. Dirty Jim referenced all the sound effects and everything that was happening in that. And one of the 5 songs I chose was When a Woman Cries. And Dirty Jim starts laughing. He says, "Oh, that's interesting." And then I explain, I'm the woman. And I'm the one who starts to cry. And your response was, "Oh, yeah, I got that part." So anyway, I mean, the Awesome 5 song list, I loved that segment. I don't know, maybe we could talk about it. Maybe in the future we'll bring it back every once in a while as a special treat for an episode. I think it'd be kind of cool. But to me, the song When a Woman Cries, I dig this song. It's an absolute prime cut, making the ultimate Gen X rockin' mixtape playlist.
Now, when you say a treat, who would that be a treat for? For us or for the fans?
I'll say for both, for all of us.
It'll have to be for when we do like an EP. Like if we do Queensryche's first EP, maybe we could throw an Awesome 5 on with that episode.
Yeah, we could do that, or we could still do it in the style that we did it back then, where we just create a story. Create the story around and then come up with these 5 songs that match the theme that we selected.
Well, that's what I was saying. But if we did it for, okay, let's just say we threw one at the end of this episode. We're already at almost 45 minutes. So if we did the Queensryche EP at the end of that episode, we could do a Awesome 5.
No, actually what I was saying was that we could do it for the whole episode. Because keep in mind, the Awesome 5 song list is 2 stories, 5 songs from me, 5 songs from you. That's 10 tracks.
Right.
So I'm saying it would be one episode just entitled The Awesome 5 Song List with both of our stories.
All right, we'll bring that up with management. And Frank, does Frank get a vote on that one?
Frankie's the one. He handles all the engineering and stuff. No votes for Frank.
Yeah, Frank, you're out.
Dude, is that to me? Come on. See, he's throwing an appendage my way. This one's not even to you.
You actually just told him he was out. You told him that he was not included. I told him he was out, but you actually put him down too.
He's usually nice to me, and to you, he's savage.
Yeah, but you just put him down.
Yeah, okay, I kind of did.
I'm on Frankie's side for this one. I mean, I expect it coming my way, but you deserve that too.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Well, let's wrap it up.
All right.
So that does it for our album review of Dream Evil by Dio. Dirty Jim, why don't you mention our companion episode as well as what amazing music we're going to be reviewing next time?
All right. Well, if you have not heard it yet, Journey's 1981 Escape album was released at the same exact time that this one was. And so go take a look at that one, or actually a listen. Taking a look isn't really going to do anything for you. But in a couple,
I don't think so.
Well, you got to look first before you listen. So
yeah.
Anyway, in a couple weeks, you'll be able to hear something new that we're going to be doing. We're actually going to be introducing a few new things coming up, but we're going to do something called the Triple Band Slam. And this one will include 3 Canadian rockin' albums, One will be April Wine's Nature of the Beast from 1981. And it will also have Triumph's Allied Forces from 81. And headlining that triple band slam will be the 1980 Permanent Waves album from Rush. And the other episode,
cool.
Yeah, it will be. I think it'll be cool. I guess we'll see when it happens. Yeah. If I could stop stumbling over my own words. But the companion episode to that one will be one chosen by my friend Hollywood. It will be the 1983 Peace of Mind album from Iron Maiden.
Maiden.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're doing like a football cheer to Iron Maiden.
Oh, no, dude. Back in the early days, in the early club days with Iron Maiden back there in the UK, oh, those fans would be out there, and that was their chant. It was Maiden, Maiden. That's how they brought him on stage.
I don't like it.
Those are in the years that you didn't believe in, the Paul Di'Anno years.
Oh, I still do not believe in it.
Oh, dude, Paul Di'Anno, so good. I mean, nowhere near Bruce Dickinson. Come on, that would be crazy talk.
Oh, so good is actually might be stretching it a little, but go ahead.
So anyway, those were those early years. That's where that came from. So that does it. All right, Dirty Jim, we're going to ask all you guys out there who's listening, please go ahead, hit the follow button on Spotify. That way you can be notified when the new double episodes are released on the 1st and the 15th. And if you'd like to send us an email with comments and suggestions, send it to getthefluffoutpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to comment on our social media channels. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And all you have to do is put in the search field, type in Get the Fluff Out Podcast, or just go directly to our website, www.getthefluffoutpodcast.com.
And we do a lot of sound effects ourselves for this podcast, but the ones that we get offline are from a site called zapsplat.com. And the intro music is from a site called looperman.com, and it's a combination of two loops. The first one is a drum loop from HP Records called Vintage Kit 2, and the second is a guitar loop from Geomoon called Groovy Rock Guitars Loop Riff.
And then the outro music is a song called Elysian Fields by our band Forced Entry from 1988, copywritten by Hollywood and Dirty Jim. So we want to thank everyone for carving out some time in your busy schedule to listen to the Get the Fluff Out podcast and to get just a little Gen X nostalgic with us. So with that being said, Dirty Jim, we just got the fluff out.
Yep, yep.
Was that Gollum? It sounded like Gollum.